Okay, folks, welcome back. It's Darth checking in with you again. So, um, I've been trying to think about how to broach this. We've kind of got a civil war going on over here, right? Between book readers who hate the show and anyone who doesn't hate the show who is active in the community, which is probably book readers, but that's not entirely inclusive. So yeah, we've got this conflict, this dynamic going on right now, and it seems like people who like the show are winning. In that most of the Reddit posts, most of the Dragon Mount and Tarvalin Net, and all these different forums are pretty well flooded with complaints about the people who don't like the show instead of complaints about the show or I like the show. So the Civil War seems a little one-sided, but I'm getting a lot of YouTube comments that are just really, really angry. Just a whole lot of salt. So let's talk about it, yeah? Okay, starting grounds here. This is not the book series that you grew up reading. This is not the book series that I or you waited 10, 15, 20, 25 years to see adapted on television. If anybody out there wants to say that it's different from the show, from the books to the show, that it's different, then yes, if that is your gripe, I completely agree with you. And if it being different bothers you, if you wanted a, scene faithful adaptation, really wouldn't even be called an adaptation, just a transfer from the novels to the screen. You wanted the same structure, the same formatted to follow the exact same way. I understand that. I do. And I'm not going to fault you for it if that is something that you're not happy to see change in the series. When I watched the first 3 episodes, I did them back to back to back. You can see my reviews not 30 seconds after the credits rolled on each of them. And I gave you my initial impressions right then. And looking back on it, I was kind of shocked because I thought it was going to be faithful to the source material in the way that I just described. I thought that the only changes would be ones that narratively reshaped the plot for a couple of things that we knew from trailers, such as maybe skipping the scene in the Westwood with Rand carting Tam up through the forest. But I still thought everything else would play out pretty much the same. And that is not what the show is. This show is an adaptation of the source material. So when I say adaptation, I mean that they took the plot points, right? They took the checklist of things that need to happen, and they made sure that those things happen. But the way we went about getting there is completely different. And injected into that is entirely new dialogue, entirely new scenes, scenes that have been changed, like Taryn Ferry, which, by the way, on the Taryn Ferry thing, in the books, I was listening to The Eye of the World last night, and that is like a third of the way into the book. It's huge how far that is. But Nynaeve badgers the ferryman into finding another way for her to get across. And in the show, that didn't happen. because Ferryman dead. Ferryman very dead. So I'm really curious how she got across, and they'll never explain it because they don't need to. It's not a plot hole. It's just it's a mystery. You know, she found another way across. There you go, explained, right? But you know, there's all these little details that maybe you were expecting, I was expecting to be in the show, that they're not there. And when I first watched it, I saw everything that it didn't have instead of everything that it did have. So if your critique is that you are a book purist and you wanted it to follow the books, I don't blame you for that. You're not wrong that it's not doing that. In details, it is in broad strokes, and I understand where you're coming from. However, the show, if you felt that way and you said, I'm not going to watch it because of that, I get it. I would encourage you to go back and take a rewatch, because it may surprise you with how much is actually going on in that first episode when you stop looking for what's not there and you start looking at what is there. And I have really quickly turned around on this. I've come to appreciate, there's still a few things I have some qualms with. I don't like the way that I don't like the wacky waving inflatable fun man motions for the channeling, and I don't like the intro to episode 1, and I think that episode 1 needed to be longer. Apparently Rafe Judkins was asking for 10 episodes or an hour and a half long episode 1, and he got nixed on both of those. So I'll tell you right now, I think we can all agree, producers that are trying to make the best screenplay by committee need to get the hell out of involvement with media, because they're not artists, and artists make art. And that's what any sort of entertainment that we digest is art, even if you want to see it on a very base term. So I think that it could have really benefited from an extra 30 minutes, and it could have benefited from a little bit less editing, because they also apparently were the ones that really pushed for that intro scene, or maybe more editing, I don't know, different editing. Could have benefited from some different editing. But qualms aside, I have really changed my mind on the first, second, and third episodes. I think that a lot of people feel like the third episode is the strongest. I still feel like it's the second episode. I really, really enjoy the slower, quieter moments that are in the show, and the second episode is a lot more characterization focused. So I really enjoy that. But it's picking up for sure. There's some really great things going on early in the series. And what you have to understand, folks, my big counterpoint to you, if you wanted it to be exactly like the show, exactly like the books, is that if you knew everything that was coming next week, if you could go and check the box and say, all right, next week we're on the Camelin Road, and the events with Tom are going to happen. We're going to go to Whitebridge, and then we're going to have the lightning strike incident, and we're going to be in Camelin, and we'll probably meet Else Grinwell, and at the same time Elias will show up, and the White Cloak plot. If you could just go through and here's all the things that are going to happen, and you knew it already, you can't watch 8 seasons of that. You're going to be bored to tears, because you know everything that's going on. Instead, by being an adaptation, by being another turn of the wheel, this show is giving us something new. It's giving us new Wheel of Time, and it's doing a lot of it right. Trollocs look great. The world itself looks great. I saw, I'll come back to that actually. The actors. I feel like the actors are, in a lot of cases, the characters. As I started rereading Eye of the World the other day, I realized that in my head, I have already transposed Egwene, Tom, Lan, Perrin, and a few others. Pat and Fane stands out to me. They're already those other people in my head. I found it really interesting that Rand and Matt and Nynaeve and Moiraine are not there, because I think all of the actors are doing a great job, but I don't know why. I'm just not quite there with them yet. And it's not, an appearance thing. I mean, Yosha looks exactly like Rand. Definitely Barney Harris looks like Matt, and it's not an acting thing, because Zoe Robbins is crushing it as Nynaeve, but I can't figure it out. We're not quite there yet. In any case, what I'm saying, this is different. This is a new telling of that story. So if you'll go back and take another look at it and just kind of let the shock wear off, right? Get past the, oh my God, they didn't do this scene. Why is that not there? Tam didn't fight 9 Trollocs? Oh, if you can get past that. Moiraine doesn't have a staff, right? You'll be okay. There's a lot of different, but the heart is still the same. And that's been the fascinating thing to watch so far on my rewatch. And I'm about to see it a third time tonight. I'm looking forward to that, because now I get to go in and really pick out details, right? And I'll also say to you, there have been some really interesting nitpicks. I saw, this is what's fascinating to me, is that there are, of course, there's the ones that a bunch of people are fussing about that are all kind of the same thing, right? And those are expected, the intro didn't enter the same way, or they don't like the editing. Those are like your big ones. Perrin's wife. Perrin's wife is a huge one, right? But what's fascinating to me is these YouTube comments and Reddit comments that I'm getting and seeing as responses, where these people have really specific things that they were looking for, and it's different, and that pulled them out of it. And I know I was right there with you on this. See, I was flipping out because Moiraine and Leandrin had on pants, and nobody in the world cares about them wearing pants except for me, I think. But it's just all these little things. And what I've figured out here is that this is people who are big fans of the Wheel of Time, right? They're crazy, engaged with this story, and so they had specific things that they knew about the characters and they wanted to see, and those things are different. And it's it's the Great Serpent Ring, it's the Kaisara, it is pants. Somebody commented yesterday that they felt like the clothing looked like it was not quite the right period, especially for Egwene in episode 2. She looks like she's got on a modern hoodie, they said, which I thought was interesting, Someone was mad about Tam's brandy, and then they got happy whenever I mentioned that he actually makes a comment about making sure that people don't remember Beltane because it's strong this year. It's kind of in the background of one of the episodes. There was another person who was really frustrated about not getting the scene with the Murdral stalking up and down the road, which I get. but it's not there because they're trying to not spoil who the Dragon Reborn is, and that might give it away in that scene. So yeah, there's just different things. I saw somebody mad that Tom Maryland wasn't in the Two Rivers. He wasn't in Emmons Field. Haven't seen anybody complaining that we skipped Baerlon entirely, which is interesting. So there's all kinds of these nitpicks, right? And I think that it's been overwhelming for a lot of us. But I guess this is a hopeful message. I see your comments. You're getting downvoted into oblivion on Reddit if you dislike anything right now. I'm pretty sure that you guys are taking over Wetlander humor as a result. But relax a little. Give it the season. See where it goes. And especially if you get the chance to go back and rewatch, you're going to notice everything that gets done right. You're going to notice, Egwene sensing the Myrddraal. You're going to notice Lan and Moraine acting with each other without speaking sometimes, or moving to one another even though they didn't really get a cue that told them to do so. You're going to notice all these little details, right? And even some of the big changes, like Matt's dad being kind of crappy, Abelquathan, right? Or Abelquathan. I always say that last name weird. I recognize that that's not book accurate, but it's in service of a main character. It's got a higher purpose here. And it doesn't detract any from him being a good archer who cleans up his act a little bit later on. That could happen. So, yeah, folks, give it a little bit of time. Keep sending me your comments. Keep telling me what you like or dislike. And, if it's big stuff, if it's, I don't like the music or the editing seems bad, or whatever, right? Let's talk about it. We'll keep chatting, yeah? All right, guys, have a great day.